park is real? Of course it could be. And the ideas come from you. The flying fish carousel.
Awkward! On March 15th, if you can imagine it, you can ride it. The Sky Flinger. Zero G-Land.
I'm more of a 2 feet on the ground kind of guy.
And the Wonder Coaster.
Nice birdie.
You blocked the wheels, right?
Oh, that's what this is for.
Wonder Park in theaters March 15th. Rated PG.
Man, you really thought you were going to pull a fast one on us, weren't you, Nickelodeon? You were so ready to promote this as the next big thing. And, yeah, you can't really promote the next big thing if the director of the movie literally goes uncredited. I'm not even kidding you. We have got a juicy movie right here for you because, yeah, the production history behind this film was... This is the type of thing that they make documentaries for. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We're taking a look at, once again, 2 weekends because one weekend only has one big new release and the other ones have 3 lesser films that I don't really feel like delving into too much here. So we're covering 2 weekends here. And like with the last show, the biggest new release and the most important new release comes in the end of the show. So stick around for that. But until then, let's get to the 3 films of March 15, 2019 and talk about one of the most infamous animated movies, if not the most infamous animated movie of recent memory, and that is Wonder Park. So this movie is about a young girl who encounters a real version of her magical amusement park run by anthropomorphic animals. It includes a cast that includes Jennifer Garner, Matthew Broderick, John Oliver, Mila Kunis, Kenan Thompson, Ken Jeong, Norbert Leo Butz, and Ken Hudson Campbell. So, like I said, they were really thinking that this was going to be the next big project over at Nickelodeon. I mean, they were planning everything. They were going to do a TV series. They were going to turn this into a franchise. And, you know, like with Jimmy Neutron and Barnyard. Well, the big differences between those two in this is that, one thing, Jimmy Neutron may have not had the greatest animation, but it had a lot of good comedy to it, great characters that you wanted to get behind, and a TV series that took full advantage of that and was a very successful show, and one that a lot of people who grew up with the show still remember. Barnyard, while it wasn't as great as that, definitely had a lack of animation and comedy in particular, but it was so confident in its bizarre what the hell is going on this, where that franchise took off on its own merits, even if the shows and the movie was never that great in particular. I mean, the fact that the male cows have udders, which male cows don't have udders, that's the females. Like, it just, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, it makes no sense, but in a way, it kind of works for people who love troll humor, or humor that knows it's stupid but just goes along with it. That's what made that show work. This is one of those things where they tried so hard to make this the next big thing. I mean, like I said, they were planning to do everything they could to get this out there. I mean, they thought that they were so confident that this was going to be the next big thing. Really. This right here. This thing that is so generic, has so been done before in the past, and again, it would make sense if you had a good team behind it, but you couldn't even keep your director on there to keep his name credited. I'm not even kidding you. The original director of this, Dylan Brown, he was a former Pixar animator who came on board to direct the film. However, he was fired from the production because of an investigation into complaints of inappropriate and unwanted conduct. Because remember, that was around the time when John Lasseter got fired for the same thing. Which, considering this is Paramount, they probably would have kept him on there in this new Paramount era that we have here. But so they basically brought in these different directors to come in here. They offered the directorship to multiple key creative personnel, but they refused, fearing the field would be detrimental to their careers. Yeah. So they brought in David Feist, the creator of Cow and Chicken, Robert Iskov, who's done some notable things in particular. He did, most notably, he did the 1997 Cinderella movie with Brandy, and then Claire Kilner. Claire Kilner was an English and TV director who has done a lot of notable films, such as How to Deal and The Wedding Date. Notable movies in the fact that they exist. They came out in 2003 and 2005, didn't leave much of a lasting impact overall. So, yeah, this project was completely dead in the water almost immediately. Like, this movie, it's amazing how this film was just an unmitigated disaster from the very beginning. I mean, the concept alone is not original at all. There's nothing unique or different about this film whatsoever. The marketing for the movie was one of those annoying movies where, just go for the fast-paced humor. Just go for the fast-paced humor in animation, and people will be suckered into it, and they weren't. This thing was a massive failure. It was a huge flop overall. They canceled the television series afterwards, and really you can see why, because the movie is really stupid, and it's just not fun whatsoever. Movies like this, where they're trying to create the whimsical factor, because that's what sells to people. You could tell that there was zero effort put into creating a magical, whimsical story that hasn't been done before, or something that is fun on its own merits. And it just was not here with this movie. It's a film where everything that you've seen has been done to death before. There are no likable characters in this whatsoever. The voice acting is pretty lazy. Everybody is not even acting. They're just doing their own voices. Like, it's just one of those things where there is zero effort being put into this film on so many levels. And to think that they thought that this was going to be the next big thing, and it wasn't. I mean, this thing is a mess. This is an unmitigated mess of a movie. It's a disaster. It's a terrible movie. The animation is way too over the top and ridiculous. It makes no sense. I mean, it's a bad movie. It's so, like I said, it's bad when you can't even get a proper director to be credited for this. When nobody wanted to be a part of this movie. Like I said before, people were steering away from this because they thought it was going to be critical to their careers overall. Like, that's how bad this really is. I mean, like I said, they make documentaries about how bad movies like this are. And I think when we get to the 10-year anniversary of this in a couple of years' time, we're going to get that documentary about the troubled production that this movie had. Because I can't imagine this thing had a easy production process where the director was fired and you couldn't get anybody else to fill in, or even want their name credited for this. Just, I mean, wow, man, just unbelievable how this movie just completely fell off the rails so quickly. I mean, like I said, this has to be one of the most chaotic productions in animation history. I mean, like I said, this is prime for a documentary down the road here. Even if it has to be on Netflix or something like that, I'm pretty sure we're going to definitely see one of these in the not-too-distant future, because there has to be something here where it's just like, there has to be stuff from people behind the scenes that have bad memories of this. Like, I mean, it's a terrible movie, and I mean, it'd be fine if it's just that, but the fact that this thing has had so much problems behind the scenes, this is primed for a documentary in the not-too-distant future, man. And I, for one, am very curious to see what happened behind the scenes for this, because this has to have some juicy stuff behind that, So anyway, that's Wonder Park for you. So let's go ahead and move on to another movie, another disaster, not really on the production scale, but just the fact that, hey, we're still on that let's rip off Fault in Our Stars era, because here's another movie that's trying to rip that off, and that is 5 Feet Apart.
You're brave. Wish I could touch you.
March 15th.
Stay away.
6 feet at all times. I want us to be with you. We can't.
We're not normal kids. We don't get to take chances like this. We need that touch from the one we love almost as much as we need air to breathe. So I'm taking 1 foot back, 5 feet apart. Are you in?
So, 5 feet apart.
Hey, 1 more feet and you can have a distance between you and COVID-19. Just saying. But, yeah, you wouldn't expect anything this much of a Fault in Our Stars ripoff from somebody who directed what is inevitably a Fault in Our Stars ripoff in Justin Baldoni, who gave us It Ends With Us. So in this movie, you have, it's inspired by the story of Claire Wineland, who has cystic fibrosis. And in the film, Haley Lou Richardson and Cole Sprouse play 2 young patients with cystic fibrosis who try to have a relationship despite being forced to stay 5 feet apart from each other. And yeah, this is about as let's rip off The Fault in Our Stars as much as we can, because it's literally that type of a movie. It's a film that is so lazy and so poorly put together, in the sense that, we're trying to be. Here's the thing. They try to make it seem like it's an original thing, but it's coming within 5 years of The Fault in Our Stars. And you had all these different movies that were trying to copy that, and most of them failed miserably. Sometimes you got a good one like Paper Towels, but then you got stuff like, what was the one with Bella? There was one with Bella Thorne. I think it was Midnight Sun. Yeah, it was Midnight Sun, because it was also with Arnold Schwarzenegger's son Patrick in it, and that was terrible. And this one is about as lazy, and I'm sorry, the dialogue in this movie is fucking terrible. I mean, the opening bit of that trailer where where the guy is, where the main kid is talking about how beautiful the other woman is, and she's just so smitten by it. It's just like, you could say that to anybody. And you could be the biggest creep in the world, but as long as you look pretty, it's a-okay. Now, if it was someone like me, like it'd be like that HR meme, you know, where the one person would be like, you know, the pretty guy would say to the woman, just like, "Oh, you're sweet" and all that, and then it'd be someone like me in the next panel, and then it'd be just like, "Call the police," like that type of thing in particular. And it's just kind of like I mean, anybody could say that, and it just depends on how hot you look, because if you're hot, it's a-okay. And in this, you don't feel like these two have a connection whatsoever. You only feel like they have a connection because they're two pretty people, and it's just lazy writing. It's badly put together, and the whole idea, and I'm so sick and tired of these movies where, you know, somebody has a specific disease, and somebody has a specific disease, and they just can't keep away from each other no matter what. And it's just kind of like, I mean, it's just really lazy, man. And it's just a movie that just feels so pathetically put together. Even the people with cystic fibrosis looked at this and said, like, yeah, you guys went way too far with this in particular. And, you know, of course, this is one of those movies where they promoted it with Instagram, and they had a lot of influencers talk about their hardships and all that, and it was so badly put together. Most of the people discussing the family members live far away, and it was perceived as tone deaf and trivializing a fatal disease, and they basically pulled that campaign altogether. But then again, you wouldn't expect anything less from CBS Films. CBS Films, of course, the company that is basically the equivalent of what... well, let's be honest, the original CBS films in the 1980s were, where they took the scripts that the studios didn't want, and basically they were scripts that felt like a CBS type of program. Like, you could really take this idea and make it into a CBS procedural show, like a drama show. And yeah, that was the biggest problem with CBS films. They would have a couple of hits here and there. We've talked about a couple of them, and we're going to get to one of their best ones later on in the year, but yeah, this one's definitely not it, so... yeah, needless to say, you should avoid 5 feet apart like the plague in particular. But actually, that COVID thing might actually be more relevant, because it is a 6-foot rule here, even though it's 5 feet apart. That's the title here. But as it says here, the title refers to the 6-foot rule, a guideline by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And in 2020, a similar guideline for social distancing to help slow the speed of COVID-19 would become nearly universal. So there you go. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie here, and that is a film that I honestly completely forgot about, to the point where I didn't realize that it was directed by the same guy that did Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This is Captive State.
The state of our union is strong. Unemployment is the lowest in history. Poverty has been eradicated. Crime is non-existent.
It's funny because this will eventually happen as long as Trump is still president. Just saying, but and I'm not too far off, because this takes place in the year 2027. So who knows? Next year this could be the reality here. But except the fact that in this case it'd be real life. But in this movie, it's about a young man played by Ashton Sanders who conspires to rebel against an alien race that has invaded Earth and imposed martial law on humanity almost a decade earlier. The decade being 2018. And yeah, this is directed by Rupert Wyatt and features a cast that includes John Goodman, Vera Farmiga, and Jonathan Majors' pre-generational fumble career. I mean, this guy was a great actor before he completely fucked himself over big time. But you have a cast that also includes Alan Ruck, Kevin Dunn, James Ransom, Kevin J. O'Connor, Kiki Lane, D.B. Sweeney. And the idea overall is a very intriguing idea in general, but... you know, let's combine a sci-fi adventure with a political thriller. I mean, that's a cool idea, but like with a lot of original sci-fi concepts like this, it's an idea that's ambitious on paper, but the final product does not really fall into that category in particular. It ends up being very underwhelming. It doesn't really go into what this type of a movie could be. And because of that, yeah, this is one of those movies where it feels like they have an idea. It's trying to be like kind of the equivalent to District 9, but again, can't really figure out the right way to tell it where it's something where it could last forever. Like, it'd be something that we'll look at 10 years from now and see like, oh, they said it first, they called it ahead of time, and no, it's not really that whatsoever. And, you know, I think John Goodman really is one of the stronger things about the movie. I mean, he's a great actor regardless, and he does he does give a good performance in this overall, as does everybody else in here, but if the script had been much better handled, if there was more of an identity of what they wanted to do, I feel like this could have been something incredible here, but unfortunately, this is just another movie from the director of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where it really does show that maybe Rise of the Planet of the Apes was just a lucky break for him, a lightning in a bottle moment, because look at the films he's made since then. The Gambler, the Mark Wahlberg remake, which was not that great, this movie, and then more recently, he did the infamous Desert Warrior, which, you know, if you don't know about that movie, that's the movie they spent $150 million on in producing it in Saudi Arabia, and didn't even bring back $1 million. It brought in only $733,000, and yeah, one of the biggest flops of all time. And if you saw the movie, you would probably see why, because it's a pretty bad movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say for certain, but I've heard a lot of people say that it is terrible. And I mean, is anybody really going to go out there and to defend Desert Warrior? I know Anthony Mackie got a bad break with Captain America: Brave New World, but that was at least trying. This movie did not. I mean, I'll tell you, when I first saw this in Walmart a couple of weeks ago, I had no idea that this had the infamous history that it had as a $150 million budgeted movie like this. I thought it was just another one of those Walmart direct-to-DVD movies where, you know, you see it in there and you think to yourselves, there's no way this movie is real. Get out of here. And no, it was very real with a $150 million budget, and yeah, it did not do what they thought it was. So, this is supposed to be a review of Captive State. I'm talking about a much different movie by this guy, but bottom line, Captive Spade is an ambitious idea, but just lackful in execution. So anyway, those are the releases for March 15th. Not a very good week in particular, and you can see why it's the infamous day. It's the bad luck day for Denzel Crocker from the Fairly Odd Parents, because, I mean, let's face it, if I had movies coming out on the same day as one of the worst days of my life, I would feel that way too. But next week will definitely be better, because we have our last movie here, and that is Jordan Peele's long-awaited follow-up to Get Out. This is Us.
Years ago, Academy Award winner Jordan Peele redefined the genre with Get Out.
Sink into the floor.
On March 22nd,
There's a family in our driveway.
discover his new nightmare.
What are you people? It's us. They won't stop until they kill us. Or we kill them.
Jordan Peele's Us, rated R.
Oh, Jordan Peele, we need you now more than ever, because last week was rough, but you came in here and you gave us a movie that not only is as good as Get Out, but it is a movie that is probably even better than Get Out. And that's saying a lot, because I love Get Out, but this movie, I mean, this movie shows you what Jordan Peele's capabilities are as a filmmaker, and that, you know, unlike Rupert Wyatt with Captive State, Jordan Peele is not a one-trick pony. This guy unleashed his dark side and has created some pretty damn good movies as with his first 3 films as a director, and this definitely is one of them, if not probably overall his best one, in my opinion. But in order to get away from their busy lives, the Wilson family takes a vacation to Santa Cruz, California, with the plans of spending time with their friends, the Tyler family. On a day at the beach, their young son Jason almost wanders off, causing his mother Adelaide, played by Lupita Nyong'o, to become protective of her family. That night, 4 mysterious people break into Adelaide's childhood home where they're staying, and the family is shocked to find out that the intruders look like and talk like them, only with grotesque appearances. And as I mentioned, Jordan Peele certainly made his presence known in Hollywood after a decade of mostly comedic stuff with Mad TV and Key and Peele, and he's expanded his way in a way that I don't think anybody really saw coming at all, beginning with the unexpected success of Get Out. Not only was it a big hit, it was a critical success, financial, and a movie that won him the Academy Award, and rightfully so. It was smartly written, a uniquely directed horror comedy with great visual style similar to Hitchcock, a strong cast, great cinematography, a great balance of not just horror but comedy and drama, and a good social movie in particular, talking about the social injustices in society, pretty much. So, Jordan Peele now gets free range to do whatever he wants to with his follow-up film, and usually that's a bad sign when you give somebody that much free range early on. And, what does he do with that golden opportunity? Creates a movie that's about as good, if not better, than Get Out is. I mean, this is about as good as you can get, man. What a way to start your directing career off, man. I only say that because I think Phil Lord and Chris Miller are the definitive directors of this decade, and Peele, if they let him continue to cook like this, he really is somebody that right now is on his way to becoming one of our great directors, as he did with Nope a couple years later. And like with Get Out, Us creates genuine horror with comedy and subtle issues and storylines to create a new horror classic. Like, even for people who don't like horror all that much like myself, I mean, like I said, man, the whole decade in particular, starting around 2015 with stuff like The Gift and all that. I mean, actually, it's been more than that now when you think about it, because the first Insidious movie back in 2011 kind of started the idea of taking the generic horror movie and actually doing something with it and making some great films. Which is funny because Insidious Out of the Further just came out this weekend, and I'll tell you that it really feels like the complete opposite to where the Insidious franchise started off with, where it's now the Insidious movies that look like the generic horror movies of back then, unlike the past where Insidious, the first one, was the groundbreaker back then. But yeah, this whole decade in particular has been a resurgence for horror in general, where the biggest horror hits out there are these god-awful Screen Gems tween remakes of generic horror shit, and we've actually gotten legitimately terrifying and scary movies that are doing things the right way. They're not pandering down to audiences or relying on cheap-ass jump scares. They're creative, effectively thrilling horror that works. And what's great about this movie is that the twists and turns in this are genuine and fantastically done. You can get a sense of what's going on at first, but then the film will throw the ultimate curveball at you and keep you on the edge of your seat, especially with Lupita Nyong'o's character, which we'll get to that later on. I like movies that do that. I like the movies that keep you on your toes, make you think about what's going on and how this can all be, instead of just flat out pushing it out of the gate for you, and then they drop the biggest anvil on you and a twist you don't see coming. More movies need to do stuff like this. And Lupita Nyong'o, once again, is spectacular in this. This is a performance that should have gotten her an Academy Award, or even at least a nomination, but nope. Because it came out in March, the Academy's just like, we only look at, there's only 4 months of the year, so we're not even going to bother, nominating movies that come out in August in the past. Like, this was back when they did that, folks, so, like, I'm glad she's getting more work, too, because because there was that fear early on when, she won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave. She might kind of peter out and be kind of a Lou Gossett Jr., or take the Ariana DeBose route if you want to go down that route, but ever since then, she's still been working nonstop. Queen of Katwe, the Star Wars movies, The Jungle Book, Black Panther, hell, more recently, The Wild Robot. Excellent film. I mean, she's doing very good right now, and she's one of our greatest actresses working right now. You also got a great cast overall. Winston Duke is great as Gabe. Shandy Wright and Evan Alex as the kids are good. Elizabeth Moss has a good role in here. So does Tim Heidecker. Yeah, I hate Tim and Eric, but hey, guy was actually pretty good here, and again, shows that, you can work in comedy all your life, but as long as you can prove that you can be a good dramatic actor, we will more than buy into it. But again, what makes this movie more interesting is how they take things and they make them all the more sinister. You're never going to be able to listen to the song I've Got 5 on it again the same way after watching this. And I'm not even kidding you, the way that they actually have parts of the story making references to Hands Across America. Like, it's funny because when you listen to that song, it's a catchy song, and the message back in 1986 when they did it was a good thing. Let's all come together, let's put our hands together and sing Hands Across America to stop poverty and all that. And it's a song that is catchy, but after watching this movie, no joke, I listened to that song just before I went to go see this movie, having no idea that it played a part in the movie. And let me tell you, once you hear that song and the way the movie goes forward, and you start to realize what the overall goal of that song was, you will never listen to that song the same way ever again. Like, as someone mentioned in a comment before this, I didn't know this until listening to the song again, one kid literally says, "I'd like to have a home with no people, just us." So yeah, take that for what you will. You're never going to be able to listen to Hands Across America the same way ever again. But really, upping the tension and mystery with its premise, giving you a good twist at the end that you really don't see coming. Us is another winner for Jordan Peele. It's one of the best movies of the year. It's, again, what made Get Out so well. Great storytelling, excellent acting, great thrills, horror elements combined with some brilliantly subtle dark comedy, and keeping you on the edge of your seat with each new layer of the story that unfolds. This is a film that needs to be watched multiple times. This is one of the best movies of the year, easily. A great film overall. Jordan Peele, I mean, he can do whatever he wants, and we'll be there right there when it opens up, man, because it's just great, man. It's a great film. It's a classic. It's a terrific film. Like, what more can you say, man? Us is just pure brilliance. Couldn't say it any better there, so there you go. That's Us. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and we'll wrap up next March with not another double episode, but we have 3 notable movies for the weekend of March 29th, including Tim Burton's remake of Dumbo, the live-action remake of Dumbo. A bizarre idea, and it almost becomes a live-action remake that actually is worth it, because they are doing things differently. But the problem is, the things they do differently or a mixed bag. Sometimes it works, other times it's not. And there's a specific young girl in this movie that I've talked about in constant lengths on this channel, and also in the reviews I did for this, where, you know, she talks about one thing in particular but can't say it as a normal person, but all a good time. We'll get to that tomorrow with Dumbo. We'll take a look at the Pure Flix Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood's a bad thing movie, Unplanned. So I think you can get an idea of how that movie's going to turn out overall. There's a movie that I didn't realize came out, but it wasn't a notable hit, Hotel Mumbai, so we'll take a look at that. And we'll also take a look at The Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey. It is with Matthew McConaughey, isn't it? Of course it is with Matthew McConaughey. Why wouldn't it be? But it's also got Snoop Dogg, Isla Fisher, and also Jimmy Buffett in his last film performance. Not to mention Zac Efron and Martin Lawrence. So, it's also directed by the person who did Spring Breakers, too. So, yeah, that could be fun. So, overall, we've got 4 films to look at here. We'll look at Dumbo, Unplanned, Hotel Mumbai, and also The Beach Bum. So, we'll take a look at them tomorrow, and I hope you will join me for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episodes we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care. Bye.